Nta News. I am Victoria Olabode. The World Economic Forum Davos Agenda has opened as the first global platform of the 2022 for world leaders to come together to share their vision for the year ahead. The week-long virtual event will feature heads of state and government, CEOs, and other leaders to discuss the critical challenges facing the world today and present their ideas on how to address them. The event opened with a commitment to global cooperation by the President of the People's Republic of China, Xi Jinping, and will also mark the launch of several forum initiatives, including efforts to accelerate the race to net zero emissions, ensure the economic opportunity of nature positive solutions, create cyber resilience, strengthen global value chains, build economic of fragile markets through humanitarian investing, bridge the vaccine manufacturing gap, and use data solutions to prepare for the next pandemic.
This approach, which combines phasing out the old and bringing in the new, will ensure steady economic and social development. China will also actively engage in international cooperation on climate and jointly work for a complete transition to a greener economy and society.
We must continue to fight against the global pandemic. We must revitalize the global economy and accelerate its transition to net zero. We must preserve biodiversity by deploying nature-based solutions, and we must narrow the gap between the rich and the poor to achieve more sustainable global development.
Vice President Yemi Oshibajo and Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, are among some leaders scheduled to address the virtual event to formulate a cooperation framework that will aid effective implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals across the country. This was evident at a stakeholders consultative meeting on sustainable development goals organized by the United Nations office in Lagos. Musa Toliat was there.
Given the United Nations ambition of actualizing the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda and the urgency of its timeline, the General Assembly resolution recognizes the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework as the most important instrument for planning and implementation of the UN development activities at country level. Stakeholders are therefore sharing ideas and strategies aimed at coming up with formulation of a 4-year Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework to drive the implementation of SDGs across the country.
A common country analysis has been undertaken, and that provides a good background and understanding of the status of things in the country as far as the various sectors of the economy are concerned. Development is dynamic, is continuous. So the essence of what we are doing here today is to build on what has been done before.
Is to take the national development plan of the country and then try to integrate its vision, its outcome process, and its perception of where the country wants to be.
Issues around conflict management and resolution as it affects women and children were also placed on the front burner of discourse.
I am working with the government as part of the UN, as part of the UN's response to conflict in the north and peace building within this UN framework, within what previously is a partnership framework, and will be part of the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework.
By the time everybody put their heads together, the CSOs, every partner that is here will be able to come up with ideas to see that no one is left behind. Women's rights are protected, children's rights are protected.
The Sustainable Cooperation Framework will be implemented between 2023 and 2027 in Lagos. Musa Toliat, NTA News.
As elections draw nearer, the political space in the country is coming alive again in the build to another election cycle. As the permutation thickens and the process of alignment and realignment begins, what is the responsibility of ordinary Nigerians in this mix? Taiwo Adeniyi tries to find out in this report.
For many Nigerians, the 2023 presidential election is still far away, so they go about their normal businesses. While for others, the election will come when it will come, and they are counting on God to do the best thing for Nigeria.
And I'm sure He will lead us aright. 2023. Let's even chop this one we are eating first. We just started 2022. We are thinking about 2023. Are we not asking for too much from God?
But what understanding do they have of their own roles in the build-up to and during the elections?
I will swallow both. I will swallow both. But I'm not going to base vote based on political party.
The person is for us to remove our eye from whatever money somebody will bring. We know, so some people, sometimes the right ones may not have money to spread around. So it's our own duty to know who will serve us for better.
While the independent electoral body, political parties, and those seeking elective offices are working out modalities to deliver their mandates and achieve their aspirations, experts say ordinary Nigerians must also stake their own claim in the process by arming themselves with requisite information and voter cards.
We must get information about the issues, the candidates, why they are antecedent, and what have they done. They cannot be persuaded only by words. They themselves must ask questions so that we can jointly take the right decision.
To ensure that they educate they engage in peer education, telling their colleagues, their neighbors, their friends to participate in the process. Voter education is not just the responsibility of INEC, it is the responsibility of everyone.
Just talking about whether your vote will count, our vote will count. We are determined. The people who reach for the positions are human beings like me and you. We will stop them. We will stop them. And we will tell them what is right.
With more sensitization to awaken the consciousness of Nigerians to their civic election duties, it is expected that the coming polls will pave way for an improved democratic experience in Lagos. Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
The news will continue after this break. Please stay with us. You are still watching Nta Lagos Channel 10 News. The voices of campaigners against rape and rapists are increasing daily. Government is also playing its part by enacting laws to punish perpetrators. As some of the rapists face consequences of their actions, victims need psychological and medical help to escape this trauma. Ingino John Adams examines an important aspect of this help.
Mrs. Paris Ado Sanusi is a human rights activist. Her passion has led her to many downtrodden, among them victims of rape. One of her concerns is that some of them do not speak out, despite the multidimensional effects of rape.
A lot of them fear being stigmatized. That's why they don't want to speak out. Sometimes they even stigmatize themselves. They feel bad from within. They are feeling bad. So they live with the shame of being raped.
For rape victims and their families, living with scars of being defiled can be psychologically draining, and being infected with HIV by their predators creates pains that may never heal. With medical advancement providing a way to help victims of rape by protecting them from contracting the virus, experts say there is need for victims to now speak out.
Some survivors who have contracted HIV we try our best to prevent that, which is why we have PEP, the PEP, that's post-exposure prophylactics, to prevent that if identified immediately within the first 3 days. That's the first 72 hours.
So it's PEP for everyone, not really, but it is basically indicated for those who are at high risk of contracting HIV.
For those that are not lucky to escape the virus, immediate treatment is advised, as HIV is not a death sentence.
What HIV self-testing brings to the table now is to improve the access of everyone to HIV testing. So everybody, including this population, can now know their HIV status in the comfort of their room.
As the campaign against rape and rapists, as well as enlightenment on what victims and their families should do to minimize the effects, continues, experts maintain that voicing out remains key in the healing process. In Lagos, Hingino John, NTA News.
Up next is Sports Update with Clement Olorutoba.
Cameroon, Morocco, and Nigeria have all qualified for the round of 16, having won 2 matches each to pick 6 points in the group stages of the ongoing 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. Defending champions Algeria are looking likely not going beyond the group stage, having picked 1 point in 2 matches. Meanwhile, for Monday matches, Burkina Faso will face Ethiopia. Cape Verde lock horn with host Cameroon in the last group game of the tournament. Away from that, organizer of the Mark the Ball Basketball Championship, Mark Ibochi, says the competition, which is the new phase of the game, is aimed at reviving domestic component of the slam and dunk game in Nigeria. Ibochi stated this as the competition got underway at the indoor hall of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, weekend. According to him, plans are on to have the tournament play across the country, replicating the NBA regular season.
We are committed to developing basketball, and that is why we have put this together. And as I said, this is just the beginning.
16 female teams are competing in the week-long event. And finally, Rafael Nadal began his bid for a men's record 21st Grand Slam title with a 6-1, 6-4, 6-2 victory over Marcus Giron in the Australia Open first round. 6th seed Nadal is the only former Melbourne champion left in men's draw after Novak Djokovic's visa was cancelled on Sunday. Meanwhile, world number 1 Ashley Barty trashed Lesia Surenko 6-love, 6-1 in just 54 minutes to reach the second round of the Australia Open. Also, Japan's Naomi Osaka opened her defense of the Australia Open title with a dominant 6-3, 6-3 win over Colombia's Camila Osorio on day 1 in Melbourne. The 4th-time Grand Slam champion will play American world number 54, Madison Brengu, in round 2 on Wednesday. With sports updates, Clement Olorutoba, NTA News.
That was the news. But before we go, always remember, the girl child is the strength of our home and the future of our nation. Respect and protect her from all form of abuse. This message is from NTA Lagos, Channel 10. Benga Odoide is standing by for the Yoruba translation of the news. I am Victoria Olabode. Good evening.
Ẹ kú àṣálẹ́, ẹ sì kú dédé àsìkò yìí. Àkójọpọ̀ ìròyìn ló ń dé sétí ìgbọ̀yìn láti iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán ìjọba àpapọ̀ tó wà ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó. Gbẹ̀ngà Olóyèdè ni oníròyìn, ìròyìn rèé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́. Àpérò ètò okòwò tàgbáyé tí wọ́n pè ní Davos Agenda ni wọ́n ti ṣíṣọ lójú rẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀kan àkọ́kọ́ ètò àpérò tàgbáyé fún ti ọdún 2022 fún tàwọn aṣáájú láti parapọ̀ gbé èròǹgbà ìran ọjọ́ iwájú tó ń bọ̀ wá kalẹ̀. bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ètò náà tí yóò gba ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀sẹ̀ ni yóò ṣàfihàn àwọn olórí ní ẹ̀ka ìṣèjọba láti jíròrò lórí àwọn ìṣòro tó ń kojú àgbáyé lọ́wọ́ àti pàápàá láti túbọ̀ wá ojútùú sí àwọn kùdìẹ̀kudiẹ ìṣòro ọ̀hún. Ètò náà ni wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú kíkó ipa pàtàkì àjọṣepọ̀ láti ọ̀dọ̀ ààrẹ tàwọn ènìyàn orílẹ̀-èdè China bákan náà tí yóò tún ṣe àfihàn ìfilọ́lẹ̀ onírúurú àpérò tí yóò pèsè àǹfààní fún ètò okòwò fún gbígba agbára ọ̀tun nípasẹ̀ ìkópa tàwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n olókòwò. Igbákejì ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Yẹmí Ọ̀ṣínbàjò àti ọ̀gá àgbà olùdarí ètò àjọ okòwò àgbáyé abilékọ Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala ló jẹ́ ọ̀kan nínú àwọn olórí tí wọn yóò kópa níbi ètò ọ̀hún. Orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ti gbáradì láti ní àjọṣepọ̀ tí yóò mú ìjáfáfá dé bá ìdàgbàsókè àlárere ọjọ́ iwájú tó ń bọ̀ wá fún orílẹ̀-èdè yìí látàrí ìlànà ìṣọ̀kan àgbáyé. Ìmú ẹ̀rí òdodo ọ̀hún jẹyọ ló jẹ́ ọ̀kan pàtàkì tó wáyé níbi ìpàdé tàwọn alẹ́nulọ́rọ̀ fún ìdàgbàsókè àlárere ọjọ́ iwájú tó ń bọ̀ wá èyí tí ọ́fíìsì àjọ ìṣọ̀kan àgbáyé tẹ́ pẹpẹ ètò náà ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó. Akọ̀ròyìn wa Musa Toliat tó jábọ̀ ìròyìn sọ wípé èròǹgbà táwọn àjọ ìṣọ̀kan àgbáyé láti mú àlárere ìlànà ìdàgbàsókè ọdún 2030 tó ń bọ̀ wá ló ti wà níkàlẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀kan gbòógì ọlọ́kanòjọ̀kan ètò fún àlárere orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ìfọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ táwọn ìṣọ̀kan àgbáyé ọ̀hún ló jẹ́ ọ̀kan pàtàkì ìkópa wọn fún orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni àwọn onírúurú ìpalára tó ń dé bá ìlànà tàwọn obìnrin àti àwọn ọmọdé ló jẹ́ ọ̀kan nínú ètò tí wọ́n jíròrò lé lórí. Ètò tàwọn olóṣèlú lórílẹ̀-èdè yìí ló ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gba òde kan láti lè fààyè gba ìlànà ètò ìdìbò òmíràn ní orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Bákan náà bí ètò tàwọn olóṣèlú ọ̀hún ṣe ń kóra papọ̀ lọ́tùn-lọ́tùn, ìbéèrè ni wípé kí ló yẹ láti jẹ́ ojúṣe tàwọn ènìyàn orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Akọ̀ròyìn wa Adéníyì Táíwò tó jábọ̀ ìròyìn sọ wípé gbogbo àwọn ènìyàn ìlú tí wọ́n fi ọ̀rọ̀ wá lẹ́nu wò ni wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́lọ́kan-ò-jọ̀kan àwọn ohun tó jẹ́ ojúṣe ààyè wọn gẹ́gẹ́ bí ènìyàn ìlú tí wọ́n sì sọ méní méjì àwọn ọ̀nà tí wọ́n lè kó ipa pàtàkì wọn bí ọ̀kan nínú ènìyàn orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n lo àsìkò yìí rọ àwọn olóṣèlú tí wọ́n fẹ́ kópa níbi ètò ìdìbò tó ń bọ̀ wá láti jọ̀wọ́ rí wípé wọ́n ṣe ojúṣe ààyè wọn bí ọ̀kan nínú ènìyàn tí ará ìlú dìbò fún láti ran mùtúmùwà àwùjọ lọ́wọ́. Sójọ́ ta sùn tají tí ọ̀rẹ́ ni ọpọlọ ọmọdún ànídáràn Jésù tọmọ sì ti wà níkàlẹ̀ láti mú ìyókù ròyìn wá fún ilé èdè Ògùn. Gbẹ̀ngà Olóyèdè ń kí yín èrè o.
Mikudo Ibo Kwabo don Nigeria son NTA. Jesus Moses wa ini no. Ele to gigome. Aihu to lesin àjọgbẹ́ when you dey yekodo yado yena si ayin dopo bodo dewe na do bono dehe unukon yi na do wa yido titolo he ko beje jibo yena bayi to o tenleji to tin wa you dey yekodo ya do to hweme ulo wa you nu titan he o yime he nu kon to ledo ayi moto le na pribo wa san peji na do bono ye dewe bodo pon de o nyawe unu he o sagodo le to na no de to o to bo ayi moto le to me o titolo na wa yi na o se do po when you dey ye do ya do o yime he nu kon to to bo gan le me mo kede ajo da ho sin ajo nu kon to le bodo yime devo le po wa na pia photo mi wa loji na do mondo ye dewe do po o titolo de ko beje ji to egbe when you dey ye do ya do ena you dey to ayiwa na se do polo to no ye to o hodo to titology o titola when you dey do ya do kon do po kina wa yi to tese na to po ai hon to le when you dey ena do hoto ji o me no so titology o bodo no koto o to gbo mi o de shine aton mo kede o to to yo di Xi Jinping to tin when you de do ya do ya da so to yo de le je gbonu to nu wa lo teme o nu he yo lagata he ko to be bayi na do mo do ye pe akon na nu he yin nu ha hun to pe he a jo ho la ton when you de do ya do na so de we to ji o nu wa lo when you de to do tin do to bu gan si o to bo Nigeria ton si o bodo ko to ton o bo ya ta ye mi o simbago bodo o mehin o to no to na o àjọ hotel o to wa yan o ton ngozi o kunju we ala ton when you mehin do ya do ye yo nu kon to na do ho to titology otobo Nigeria toto din we ko wure awu na to mo do orun he yo yan wure nu he otobo ai hon to le ton ko do dada when you dey na was me ton bo bo alo to go na nu kan yo otobo Nigeria ton su o hola when you dey o ye me yin nu kan to le pe afo to àwọn ni mate me fi le to egbe na do de we do de ye si gamo do alo ye ton bo to o yan we le go ni so me ton musa to dia ti to nu wa lo ten do wen do òun he àlè òfò lẹ́hìn náà ṣègbọ̀n tó mọ̀ náà àlọ́bọ̀dọ́gbò náà òun sọ́dọ̀pọ̀ ìyàwó náà tó bó Nàìjíríà tán wáyé òde he dọ̀hún tó ti tó lọ́jì òun he kò yí wálẹ̀ bótó de he pò yé náà yí wálẹ̀ pò náà tó mọ̀ náà àlọ́ níbọ̀dọ̀ òun he tó yàn orí tó lẹ́ báyìí wáyé òde he dọ̀hún tó jì táwọn tó ti tó lọ́jì. tó dín wẹ́ o àwòrán yìí tó bó Nàìjíríà tán we koto ayiwa to den na o nuiwa hena yo bla hena de o meri yo lo do tede bu me to o to go Nigeria to me to de he to lo to yi to den we o ni sila mi ton to he adeni taiwo te kon to cambio de he gbe to le to awure baido na o nuiwa lo o de le to me do fi ado yi ma yi to ro to gba eji do o e ma yi o de buye jigba òun he yóò déhe lu àwọn náà mẹ̀bùbùlẹ̀ wẹ̀ dọ̀hó tó jì tó tìtọ́lọ́jì òmìnirẹ̀ tó yá dọ̀ tó dọ̀tọ́lẹ̀ tó náà mọ̀ dọ̀ yẹ pẹ̀lú kún tó lọ́gọ̀ kò sọ́dí kébù mọ̀ dọ̀ kò dàgbé wá náà ti gbọ́ kàpọ̀ tó gbọ́lọ́mẹ̀. ẹ̀ ha fọ̀ náà lọ́tọ̀ bọ̀jà yẹ kájẹ̀ sọ̀ tó kúnmọ́ sí nǹkan mi náà dẹ̀bọ̀ lẹ́jẹ̀ mi dẹ̀ mọ̀ tó tó rí lọ.
You want the best in news, info, and entertainment. NTA 10. NTA 10. Channel in sports and documentary. NTA 10. NTA 10. Even with movies, cartoon, and live talk show. Bad choice and go for nothing less. Station for excellence. NTA 10 station for excellence.
NTA 10 station for excellence.